to somehow clean out, right?
Right.
So that's the whole. To me, I'm 6'5". I'm supposed to be 200 pounds. 180 is 200 pounds. Every time I go to VA, you gotta eat all this stuff. You gotta get. I'm 155. And I'm stronger than most guys at 200.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And by the
Welcome in,
way,
Adrian.
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello.
but by the way, you can't get rid of these plastics. There are lots of different ways you can use.
I'd love to know. I'd love to know more about that.
Right. So there are lots of different ways you can clean out of these particular type of plastics, and lots of other toxins as well. And so we can go down the road somewhere, down the rabbit hole. Because if you start saying this stuff over the air, people go, okay, well, what number, where do they live at?
Right.
All I should say is radionics. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Just look it up. It's illegal in the United States, or it was legal until recently. Now they're doing it simply, but it was still illegal for human health.
Yeah.
In Germany, it's legal.
Isn't it funny how so many things that are legal here is not legal in the UK, Germany, and all the things that are legal there are illegal here? You know,
It's funny. It's sad. It's sad. It means we're going for the money, right? We're going for the money instead of for. So I have a corporation, and it's against the laws for the corporation not to make money. Recently, they allowed you to have a benefit corporation, which means we're not in it for the money. We're in it for the benefit of the earth. I'm going, whoa. That changes the whole picture. You do things for the benefit of everybody rather than the benefit of the corporation.
Right.
And that's what we're at now. We're still making stuff, more chemicals than ever before. I mean, I've been in my first book in 1970, How the Air is in Your Spare Time. I was already yelling, toxins, toxins, toxins. Oh my God. I was already doing that already. And now it's gotten worse and worse and worse. I mean, you can't imagine. So just toxin. What about radiation? What about toxic radioactive waste, right? Combine those two together. Might as well throw in climate change as well. Let's have fun and all go out with a big right. It's absolutely, it's really mind bending.
That reminds me of something. And Joe, if you don't mind, or Corky, can I kind of ask this to everybody? So, have you guys heard about the solar panels and the windmills controlling the way that they're making the storms and stuff now? Have you guys heard anything about that?
Yeah.
Because I can read you guys a little something real quick that I was sent the other day. They were asking me about this, and I was like, well, I really don't know.
I haven't heard it so much in solar panels, but definitely in the wind and the giant windmills and stuff like that. I have heard that it can completely change weather patterns, wind patterns, and mess a lot of things up.
Right. And you're right. So this is what was sent to me, that this person asked, he was like, are you much of a conspiracy theorist? And I was like, I mean, is it really conspiracy when it ends up coming true? So, but anyhow, he sends me this thing. He's like, over 50% of the solar energy heat coming in contact with the solar panels are reflected upward. They have shown pictures from the satellites showing that the heat signatures from outer space produce these massive heat outputs directed upward. A guy pointed out that you can't find the map showing the position of all the existing installations anymore because the government dictates where they are and where they're built. And they also do that with the wind farms. The theory is that the strategic positioning of them, along with offshore hydrogenation platforms, is being used to manipulate the jet stream as well as create thermal inclines, and then using the windmills to disrupt the crosswinds. And then he said devices are placed in the ocean as well to mess with the La Nina, El Nino phenomena, and then thermal rises from the solar farms affect the jet stream as the windmills deflect crosswinds that redirect it upward or redirect it. So I started digging into all this, right? Because then I'm like, okay, this is pretty interesting. And the reason why is my plants are being very, very finicky this year. Okay. Yeah. Normally my plants, put them out 2-3 days, after I've done, did the whole week of, getting them ready to go outside, right? Couple hours out in the sun, couple hours back in the shade, right? Do all that. Once I have planted them out though, 2-3 days, and they're like, yeah, man, let's go. And they take off growing. This year, they have been out for 2 weeks now at this point, and I'm still getting daily wilt. water them every morning. I mean, pour the water to them, go out there noon, and they're flagging, just wilted, right? And I'm like, what is wrong with you all? Like, there's something off that shouldn't be, right?
We notice it more than the average person because we're always out there. We're growing the plants. We're putting them out there. So anything that's odd going on otherwise, we're probably the first to know it because it's messing with our food supply.
Right, exactly. So then I'm sitting there thinking, okay, did I mess something up whenever I went and, amended my soil? Did I put too much of something in there, right? What did I do? Or do I have some sort of munching bug that's eating my roots, right? And killing my plants off. So I literally go and start digging these plants up and looking at the roots, right? And I'm like, they look all right. They don't look really that affected by anything. They shouldn't be nothing wrong with them. And I redo the soil right there, right where they're planted at, right? I take everything that I had put in the hole, take it completely out, and I just put the regular soil back in. And don't fool with amending anything, right?
Yeah.
And they're still flagging. So then you're like, there's something else. There's something else going on here, right? Do a tissue test, do a soil test. Everything comes back fine. What is the one thing that's missing, right? What's the one thing that I can't control? I control everything else in there. What's the one thing I can't control? It's the sun, right? And so I start looking into all this stuff, and I'm like, maybe, just maybe, the sun is and the UV rays or whatever it is that's bouncing off, going up, bouncing back down is too much this year, causing my plants to flag because I literally cannot keep them from flagging. There's only 2 plants, and they're up here in the front yard that don't flag. The rest of them, every morning flag.
Are you aware of the recent solar flares?
I am. Yes. Yes.
Right. So there was one. This was the largest solar flare we've had in at least a couple hundred years, not a couple months. So was it during?
Yeah, there was 2 M class.
Yep.
So was it during that time? Because the solar.
No, we're still flagging right now. Yeah. So right now, I mean that I don't think. All right. So there was the first 2 plants up here in the front yard and some other plants. Those were planted during that when we had the Aurora Borealis and stuff too, that we could actually see that here in West Virginia. And they were fine. They didn't really get affected, but it was when I set all these other plants out that started really, getting bothered by it. Right. So, and that's been after the fact. I think they might've caught the last one because there was one maybe a couple weeks ago that it transpired there, but they're still flagging. Like even today they were out there and they were flagging really bad. And I'm like, yeah, something is really wrong with you guys. There's
what part of West Virginia do you live in? I'm
Southern West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I'm like 5 minutes from Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not really.
I live in Ohio. I haven't experienced anything weird as far as that is concerned. However, I have noticed that my plants are growing at an exceptionally slow rate.
Right. And that's another thing too.
Kind of like when we had all those wildfires from Canada.
Right.
It kind of feels like the sun is being blocked out a little bit.
And that could be too.
Yeah. It's a little strange. Yes.
It is very strange. The past 2 years have been very weird.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing landscaping and gardening and healing trees and people stuff since the early 70s. And I haven't really, to tell you the truth, I have not been keeping up on all these different engineering things, they do in the sky. I really try. I don't think I want to know, but what I can tell you is from experience. And I was thinking, well, it has to do with climate change, maybe because the environment's getting so hot and we've been killing the soil. Maybe that's it. That's what's going on. Because I do notice that it's a lot harder to make things grow than before. And so then people keep calling me. I have this problem. What's going on? Well, I've been doing organic, blah, blah, blah. And overall, there has been a decline in the health of everything, including the people. They're the last ones to say, okay, we're all as a race a lot thicker than we were before. But the animals, the birds are disappearing. The animals all over the world are slowly disappearing. So we're at the verge. I think we're going to become extinct. Human beings are going to become extinct, not the earth. The earth is not in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. Right. And so I've noticed that and I've always thought, maybe it's because it's 100 degrees over there, but it is very strange. And I'm not really sure what is causing it. I have no idea, but it could be that. But why would we want to manipulate to that extent against us? Because don't they get it to whoever does it? Aren't they doing it to themselves also?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
My question would actually be, Ryan, do you have any farms around you that are spraying, or anybody doing aerial spraying around you?
So if they're aerial spraying, like, well, I mean, it wouldn't be farms, it would be aerial spraying. It would be, you know, jets flying over, putting aluminum or whatever out, you know. But like, there's nobody that does any spraying anything. We just cut, me and my buddies, we just cut the hay fields behind us. You know, we don't spray those fields. You know, those fields are not touched with any kind of, you know, glyphosate or anything like that to kill broadleaf out. If broadleaf's in it, broadleaf's just going to be in it. We cut it, we put it right into the bale too. You know, I mean, animals eat it all, you know, so we don't use any of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, everything pretty good, you know, as far as that goes, but it's just weird because it's only those few plants in the back, and the ones up here in the front are just like, yeah, we're good, but they get a lot more sun in the back. You know, they get all day sun, and it gets really hot back there. And I've even put up the shade cloths and shaded them, you know, and they're just kind of like, yeah, no, this ain't enough. You know, we're too hot.
You have mulch?
Have you thought about putting mulch down? Do you have mulch down?
So what I did is I went and bought me 5 pounds of turnips and 5 pounds of radish, daikon radish,
Okay.
and planted for a cover crop. And so we're waiting for that to come up. You know what I mean? Because I want to grow it ahead of the plant. So then as the pumpkin plants grow, I can just kind of amend it back into the soil. It gives a nice cover crop, and, you know, keeps the soil cool, keeps everything, you know, happy, you know. But yeah, it's just barely starting to try to pop up and stuff. So it's not really did much. I haven't mulched anything, but like I said, I covered them up, you know what I mean? And then I water them every morning, just trying to get ahead of it. And yeah, I went out there in this one plant today that was literally like right before I come in, I was out there and I was like, what is wrong with you? It's like 2.5 foot long. And I mean, it looked like it was going to die. Right. I mean, and the ground, the soil around it, 2 foot by 2 foot was completely wet from this morning, you know? And I'm like, you shouldn't be flagging like that.
Are you an organic gardener?
So yes and no. I do till the garden, right? Because I've got really, 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 really bad clay, and I'm trying to work into getting more organic, like, you know. If I use anything to amend with, I use organics, you know, or if I feed, I use organics. I use a lot of compost tea and stuff like that. I amended with a buttload, and I do mean a buttload of compost. All right. But whenever I sent it off to get it tested, there was nothing wrong with it. All right.
Yeah,
And
but you think it could be too hot for your plants?
Yeah.
I mean, all right. So there's beans growing in it just fine.
Beans love it.
Yeah. So
Beans
I mean,
love that stuff. But if you have, like, for instance, a cucumber,
right. Well,
it's
cucumbers are
gonna
growing.
flop over like a dead fish.
The cucumbers are doing good in it. I like the only thing that hates it right now is those giant pumpkins. They're just like, yeah, no, we ain't taking
Oh,
this
that's
crap.
interesting that it's a pumpkin, though.
Yeah, the giant pumpkins are just like, nope, we ain't doing it. I'll have to send you some pictures. I'll get your email address and send you some tomorrow, because it's super, super weird what they're doing. I mean, they literally wilt down completely. You know how they got pumpkin plants have those 3 main veins that come out into their leaves from the stalk into the leaf, right? They will wilt down so bad that the only thing you see is those 3 main leads, veins, whatever you want to call it, that go into the leaves, sticking straight out, and then the leaf is just completely
sounds like a wilt to me, a bacterial wilt that's in the soil. So this is new soil you have there. Is it what's the history of is it growing in the ground or a container?
No, they're all in ground. Everything that's being grown, I mean, I've grown in the soil since 2020, so everything's, you know, I've never had any problems with any of that.
What do you do to your soil?
What is it?
Do you know what pH your soil is?
It's 5.5 to 6.4. Yeah, 5 point, like, depending on which patch you go to. So I can like send you soil reports and stuff, but some of them's 5.5, some of them 6.4. You know, so are
you using compost? And if so, are you making it yourself?
So the compost I get is from my buddy who makes it. Literally the same guy I help cut hay with. He makes the compost. Never had any issues with it before. In fact, that same compost is in all my raised beds right now, and everything in the raised beds are growing just fine.
Do you have any other vine type of things growing?
So
Because could this be
longboard.
the vine borer doing this?
No, it
You
wouldn't be
have
that.
vine borer issues there?
No, they're not. I don't have issues. I've never had vine borer issues.
Is
Got
it the
bushel
same
board
place
long-
you planted the year before?
Yep. I don't have a choice. I can't rotate crops here.
Where did you get
Okay.
the seeds? Your seeds or plant, or did you buy the plants?
No, I grow everything from my own seed, my own seed stock.
You own seeds. So where do you get the seeds for this one?
All this came from me. Yeah,
You
all
grew
these
them
seeds are
before?
mine.
You grew them before, and then you saved
Yep.
the seeds. Right?
Yep.
You didn't have any problem down the line with these guys.
Nope.
Somehow they must have gotten it from. You can get it from the air, but a bird, a poop, anything could land on your spot there. So you may have to start over and take the soil. Or
Sorry, my son.
I would get some really cool hot compost, put it in there, and then the compost take care of it. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I would make the compost and not let it finish. Let it finish in the ground.
Okay. Yeah, I
Do
can
you
do that
use
because I got some compost that's actually working off right now.
Do you
So
make-
it was like 150 some degrees the other
do
day.
you use the animal manure?
Yes, I use pig manure. Of course, that's not really hot, but I got chicken manure, duck manure, rabbit manure, pig and goat manure, and I'm taking all that and mix it all in. And then I can get cow manure from some of my buddies that live here, and
Cow
I take
manure.
and mix that in too.
Get the cow manure. There's a reason why Will Steiner decided of all the animals in the world, the cow is one he wants to make the stomach for his biodynamic preparation. Think about that. Okay.
Cool.
So because he said the cow has a special kind of microbiology in that stomach. Whatever you put in there, they would take plants, put them in there, and bury it in the cow. 2 or 3 months later, they would bring it out, and that's the preparation. He didn't like goats. He didn't like horse. He didn't like elephant. The cow is what he chose. So if
That's
you can get
cool.
hold of the cow, and it's because it's probably for some reason in that little spot. There could be
To
anything.
me, it sounds like a virus. If you
Yeah.
planted it twice in the same time, like you planted, you don't rotate,
You'll get it again.
you can get it. And I can get that virus in heirloom seeds when I plant my tomatoes.
You can?
And,
Wow.
and I've switched to hybrid. And since I've switched to hybrid seeds, I don't get that wilt. And I'm sorry, my son will not leave me alone tonight.
Yellowing at all? Are your leaves yellowing at all, or is it just?
No, they're not yellowing. They're just they just wilt. Like it's only in the heat of the day. You go out there in the morning time and they're cupped up, looking great, and then I water them all. Come 2 o'clock in the day, they're just going
So
flat.
they're not always wilting.
No,
No,
Oh.
like I'll go out there right now and they'll be back up.
that's not the wilt. That's not the wilt.
You're not having a problem. The
No.
plant's natural defense mechanism is to wilt in the sun. So
Right.
it's not that it's starving, it's not that it's infected, it's not that it needs water. It's the natural defense mechanism of the plant to wilt in the hot sun. And then you said when the sun is not so high and it's not so hot, the
Goes
plant
back
will
up again.
back up
Yep.
again.
Yeah,
It's
that's
natural. It's natural. Don't try to fix it. It's a natural mechanism of your plant when it's hot in the day. That's all it is.
But they're
best you
not
can do
when
is
they're
have
trans-
an ice mulch.
when they're transpiring that bad though. They're not growing, right?
No.
Well, they're under stress. So
Right.
it's gonna take stress and repeat before that plant will adapt to that heat, and then it'll take off and grow. But in the initial stages, when you first transplant it and it first takes off, those types of plants, if you disturb the roots, you said you dug them up and you looked at the roots. If you
Oh.
disturb the roots in those types of plants in the
I didn't hear
cucurbit,
that. Yeah.
they do not like that. They do not
No.
like. So they're probably a little stunted right now, and they might be in a little bit of a shock. But it's okay. Just leave them, water them, feed them as normal, and they will bounce back. Believe me.
Give them
They
some
will.
compost tea. Give them some compost.
I give them
There
that
you go.
every other day.
Yep.
Yeah, I give them a lot of compost. I make 275
That's the thing I
gallons of
hope
that every other day.
If
That's
you
the best
possibly think that this could be the sun or the sun for a time period or something like that, you can use surround on your plants and it will help with the sun and its rays. And you can put it on there, especially when you're trying to harden off your plants.
What is
And
surround?
it will protect them a little bit.
Is that like a thing you put around it? Or
No, it's a clay. It's like a clay that you put on. You can mix it with water and you spray it on there. It leaves like a white substance over top your plants. I mean, they don't look hot or anything. They don't look cool. They look like they
I
are
wouldn't
covered
even
with
bother
white
it though.
This stuff works good too.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but
Okay.
it works and it
Yeah.
helps. So,
Great.
and it's
Great.
100% organic. It's not, and it'll keep the bugs also, like flea beetles and stuff, from eating
Cool.
up your stuff.
What's it made of?
It's
What's
called that. I don't know what that's called, but it's called Surround that I suggested.
It's made of kaolin clay.
Uh-huh.
Kaolin, kaolin clay. I don't think that's how you say it. It's an organic clay. But I wouldn't bother it. I wouldn't try to fix it. I would just leave the plant be, let the plant do what it's going to do. Because when we get involved with the plant's natural mechanisms and defense mechanisms, that's how we end up killing our plants, is because we overreact to plants' behavior. So
Right.
when you learn your plant's behaviors, like the different plants, the nightshade family, the cucurbit family, when you learn the different behaviors of your plant families, then you'll know like, oh, that's normal. I don't have to worry about it. It's just the sun. It's the, the natural mechanism and defense mechanisms of the plant. So I wouldn't even bother, don't do anything to the plant. Just let it be, feed
Okay.
it, water it just as normal, and it should do just fine.
Okay.
I know what you're not playing music to it. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, actually I do. So every
do?
day I play Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, something like that out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe they want something different. Try some little Grateful Dead.
Maybe I should try heavy metal. Maybe I should.
Tragically hip.
Bang your head. But
You,
Well,
you don't strike me as a Chopin kind of man.
I love that stuff. Yeah, I like it. So, it's very soothing. But the one thing that I thought was funny about it is I've been growing these for 4 years now, and I'll have the normal, maybe a few days or a week, you know what I mean, but not 2 weeks of them acting like, oh, I just can't take it, I'm dying. And that's what kind of put me off, was like, y'all do this every year, but not to this extent, not to the extreme. I can go out there and water you and you'll stop. You'll cool off and you'll stop and you'll go back to normal. And I can water these now and they don't stop until the sun gets off of them, so then that's what makes me think the sun is just extremely strong this year for whatever reason in the area.
It's the UV index of the sun. So it all has to do with the damage that we've done to our help me out, I can't remember.
Ozone layer.
Yes, the ozone layer. The damage that we've done to our ozone layer, because I will tell you that I have friends who live in India, and they say that when they come here, it is hot. It is hot and they will burn. But they can be in India with triple-digit temperatures and not burn and not be hot. But when they go through a summer here, it's hot and they burn. And I said, well, that's probably because where you live in India, you haven't destroyed your ozone layer like we have here in America. So it's,
Wow.
you know what I mean? It's a difference in different places in the world as far as climate change.
That's
We
cool.
have definitely destroyed our ozone layer, and that has a lot to do with the UV index in how hot the sun has been.
And I also think it has a lot to do with the fact that we are blacktop concrete people, whereas India doesn't really have a whole lot of that. It's like a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
It's very dry. And here it's like, if there is 1 inch of grass somewhere, they're going to pave over it and concrete.
Cut that tree down to build a house, or build a shopping mall. They're going to level out that whole forest over there because they want to build a condominium complex, Well,
and think about this. It used to be when we took trees, we had to plant so much of those trees back in hardwoods, right? Now they don't do anything in hardwood. It's all pine. Pine is a horrible thing to use. Pine trees emit and create more heat. So whenever we cut a forest of hardwoods down and we go back and plant nothing but pine trees, not only did we just clear that off to grow, to make a shopping mall and a bunch of blacktop, but then whatever around it that we don't use, we went and planted even more heat by using pine trees instead of planting hardwoods back.
Well,
like
they do that
oaks,
because
maple,
their
and all that.
numbers look good. Because pine trees obviously grow way faster than a redwood
Right.
or something like that. So when they say they have forests upon forests of trees, well, yeah, you have planted some of the fastest growing trees imaginable versus
Right.
oak. And
Exactly. And the soil that's underneath the pine trees are not nearly as good as those that come from hardwood.
right.
Because you've got this great big leaf that falls every year, right? And creates this natural layer to cool off the soil and everything, and then turns into compost and feeds the soil, so you're not only are you cutting off the natural way of earth being able to cool itself, but then you're cutting off the nutrition to the soil as well when you plant nothing but pine trees back. So
100%.
Is that the girlfriend already? I mean, the wife. Is that the wife already?
That's my
Not
butt
over
down.
yet?
Other people's butt down me. So I get butt down.
I just want to say welcome in Tony O'Neill. Tony.
By the way,
O'Neill
Tony
has-
said that Heavenly Hills needs to play Guns N' Roses, which made me laugh.
I'll have to try
Tony
that
has
tomorrow.
the #1 rated book in the UK and the US, and
Cool.
he also He just wrote a whole bunch of other books, so go check it out. Our mods are awesome. They just putting links left and right, so
Thank you, Marma.
you guys are awesome.
Let's get back to talking a little bit about the soil and how good it is to make sure our soil is healthy, because a healthy soil creates healthy vegetables, and then we consume those vegetables and we get healthy insides, right?
That's true. Very
Right.
true.
So
When I was in the seventh grade, I started reading Rodale's Organic Gardening magazine. I think it's somewhere in that age, maybe a little older. And what I found fascinating, it would say, feed the soil. I'm going, feed the soil? What do you mean, feed the soil? It's like dirt, right? Nothing there. What do you feed? And that was the start of my process of understanding how the soil works. What's really cool is that what I do is I don't heal diseases. I put them away. They go away, and you don't have the tree or the plant doesn't have that problem anymore, because you don't really cure the disease. What is it called when you control it, right? And it's the biology that does that. It's literally the biology that does that. Because there's just a few people that I know on the planet. Layton happens to be one of them. The group here with these groups that we have through Ken. I have yet to find any arborists to say, "Oh yeah, so we have to get the biology going. We're good for this disease or that pest or whatever." They just don't get it. In 1984, I'll tell you a quick story. So I moved into Malibu, California, and I have this truck that says, "Don't panic, it's organic." And so there was a lady that still is my customer now. So I've had her since 1984. She has this stone pine tree. It's a beautiful stone pine tree. So in Malibu, the people originally owned Malibu, I think it was called the Ridgeways or something like that. They had their own train system, and it ran right across down Malibu Road. So a little road runs along the coast there, and they have all these famous multi-trillion-dollar homes right there. So this lady bought this place, and right there where the train was, they planted 50 years ago a stone pine tree, and they put a little train thing for the people to come in. And so when she bought it, she says, "Well, that's the stone pine. So we're going to call it a designated tree, and you can't do anything. You have to just, we'll buy it from you." And she says, "No, I'll take care of it." So we got a bark beetle. And so in 85, 84, somewhere in there, there was all these arborists who go to her place. "Well, you got to cut it down. It's not going to, it's not going to make it. It's just not going to make it." So the last guy says, "I know this guy that does voodoo." That was me. So I've been there, and the tree is still alive. And you know all that I have done? First thing I do is I became the gardener, because I didn't trust the gardener. Okay, fine. I'm going to do, it's a good deal for me also to be the gardener at that time. I just showed up in the city. So I said, okay, compost. I started making my own compost. I started looking for rock dust, right? I started looking for animals. Anything that moved around and poo-poo, I would get it. I love the cows, llamas, rabbits. And I started to bring the soil back to life to the point. And then, you know what I sprayed? I would spray. I grow my own. I learned about earthworms and how wonderful their liquid or their biology is, that they produce this worm juice. I started making this worm juice, and that's what I sprayed onto the trunks. So you know how the bark beetle, they dig a tiny little hole, they go into and the pesticides doesn't do anything. You have to inject to do something. And the microbes go into that little tiny hole, and they literally eat up the little beetle that's in there hiding. And what it does is that, I make a long story short, what the biology does is it increases the Brix level, increases the nutrition availability to the tree, because it's all really about food, what they eat. A refractometer is basically reads how much minerals you have, how healthy you are. The higher the refractometer reader, you have a great Brix reading. The bugs cannot eat it because it's the difference between complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. They love simple carbohydrates. They need that for energy, but complex carbohydrates, we're not touching that. And that's what the biology does, is increase. And us humans cannot imitate that. We think, oh, I have a friend who's a chemist, right? 5 pounds of this, 5 pounds of that, 10 pounds of that. You add this together and go, yeah, but that's you're missing it. So there's 96 trace minerals. And the only way you're going to get them, all the exotic ones, Mother Nature is the only one that can provide those for you. Duh. You can create them in a lab and give it to the plant. They're not going to take it. That's why these chemicals, it goes right. It's like cocaine for the soil, right? Cocaine for they shoot themselves up, bypass their tummy. They're in big trouble. And to this day, just the other day, this arborist sitting there going, any day now she's going to keel over and die. It's like what, since 84? How many is that? 40 years or some? And the tree is really big and beautiful, and it's not going to die. And even people come by and look, what the hell are you doing there, boy? And I said, don't panic, So I just want to throw that in because that's what the biology does. That's what it does. When I ran into Ken, I didn't call it the bio. I call it microbes. I would say microbes. All my books, I would say microbes. Feed the microbes. Ken says, it's the biology. Oh, my God, biology. Why didn't I even think of that? Because that's very clear. There's like a trillion different organisms in that soil. You can't figure. I mean, I got a microscope looking at it and go, okay, yeah, right. What is that? I don't know. What is that? What is that? What is that? So you just have to give up on the microscope. All you really have to do is increase, like Ken and I like to say, more roots in the ground, right? More roots in the ground. And that's what you have to do, because that's kind of like the military, more foots on the ground, or more boots on the ground, right? And that's what it is. You have to get the biology and the biology doesn't work. The soil biology does not work on one thing, right? It's a blend. It's a mixture. It's an amazing blend of all these different workers working together to produce this a web. Exactly right. Paul Stamets calls it the internet of the soil. So that is really cool. And I learned this from experience, but I learned that the better I got at making the soil, the better everything grew.
Yep.
I started concentrating on what is that going on down there. That's why I started promoting rock tops a long time ago. Remineralization, minerals is very important. And I give rock dust to my microbes, and they have a party. And next thing you know, it's in a form that the plants can absorb it. So when I spray it on the leaves. When I was a kid, I read that in the Amazon, there are microbes in the air, floating around the leaves. They beyond the leaves, on top of leaves, everywhere. Now try to go out in the city. It's sterile. You don't see anybody survive for long. When I spray my microbes, I say 99% of them die. Or there's 1% going, wow, that was like, holy cow, right? And they're being attacked by. I wrote a book, 10 Ways to Kill Your Trees. I figured I'll get their attention, right? 10 ways to kill their trees. Hey, how dare you promote killing the trees? I know these are things you're not supposed to do, right? But you're doing it. It turns out a scientist contacted me and says, your 10 ways how to kill the trees. That happened to be, he wrote a book called 10 Environmental Boundaries You're Not Supposed to Cross. Those are the same 10 ways. So it's not a coincidence, right? It's logical. Clean water, clean air, clean soil, right? The whole 10 yards, right? So I'll shut up. Okay.
No, you're good, man, because you're hitting it right on the nail. So before, I've gardened since I was a kid, watched it, helped it, whatever, right? And it wasn't until I started using, beneficials like azos, mycos, Versity, which is lactobacilluses and things like that, started using compost teas, right? And making, complex compost teas, that I started to see a difference in the pest pressure on my plants. Do I still have pest pressure? Yeah, sure. I still got some of it, right? Because I don't have anything perfect here, right? But whenever I started to do that, it did start to raise the Brix level. In fact, we just did a video on this last week. I think it was me and one of my buddies, Jason. Oh, actually, two Jasons. One of them holds the world record for the butternut squash at 132 pounds for a butternut squash.
Holy cow!
Yeah, and he has 22% of organic matter in his soil. So whenever he tells this to other giant growers, they're like, "Oh, you should only have 9%. You're gonna, they freak out on him, right?" And he's like, "I grew a world record. One plant produced 126-pound butternut and then 132-pound butternut on one plant. If I'd have just grew one butternut, it'd have been over 200 pounds." And they're still like, "Oh, but you should never be at 22%, right?" And I'm sitting there going, "Keep going, dude. Just keep going."
Why? Why do they say that?
Because if you go above 9%, their thinking is if you're above 9%, you've got too much going on. You'll burn it up, or if you get a disease in there, right, you're never going to get it out. What they don't understand is that it's going to keep the disease away.
Are these organic people or chemical people? Sounds like chemical people to me.
The majority of them are chemical people. Okay,
yeah,
I mean, there's
exactly what will happen. It'll burn them right up. If you're organic, you cannot overdo it that way because if you follow what Mother Nature does, she never burns anything unless we're talking about fire, right?
Right. Well, here's what kind of woke me up, right? Because I was sitting there and I was going, the forest grows tons of food for me.
Yeah.
And there's not a stitch of synthetic fertilizer out there. It will produce all the Japanese wine berries I want to eat, all the blackberries and raspberries I want to eat. If there's apple trees that are
all hybrid levels. Yeah.
Right. Tons of stuff out there, mushrooms and everything, right? Without a stitch of synthetic fertilizer, without any disease, right? How many times you go out there and see disease and pests bothering these plants that are out in nature, right? You don't. Right. And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm doing this wrong. Because if I was doing it right, the plants would respond the way the plants do in the forest. And the way they do in the forest is there's biology in the soil. They have leaves that drop every year, land on the soil. That turns back into more compost and more biology and stuff. So I'm doing this wrong. So then whenever I started to change it, that's whenever I started to see my plants respond differently, right? Now, I'm still learning about all this, and trying to get it right. But I do know that this is the way to go because I've grown too much now that has been way too successful. I mean, I grew a 30-some pound rutabaga last year without even trying, I mean, that don't happen unless Mother Nature and the right things are in that soil. Because the year before I used all synthetic and it was only 19 pounds, right? Went completely to organic on that plant in a 2x2, raised bed, and it was 31 pounds. So I'm like, yeah, this is where we need to go. So that's whenever
I've never gone the synthetic route. I've always been organic. I entered the giant flower contest, and it wasn't fair because you can be chemical and compete with the organic. And typically the chemical version says, if you don't care about bugs or having it survive, right, or eating it, right?
Well, you can so. The guy that holds the world record for the giant pumpkin now, he is pretty much pushing nothing but biologics. All right. He grew a 2,749 pound pumpkin. And he contributes all that to using biologicals like, Azos, Mycos, Versity. And he's pushing those plants, right? Because he knows, and he's told everybody else too, the same thing. He knows that the key is in the biologics. The key is with having good biologics in the soil and being able to keep that plant healthy and happy, right? And there are tons of skeptics out there that, that stuff don't work. Mycos don't work. Azos don't, lactobacillus don't work. And then you have to point out the obvious to them. Well, then how come it works in nature? How come the plants in nature are just perfectly fine and don't need our help at all?
On top of that, these guys want to try it in a sterile environment. I want to get some mycos and grow it here. No, it's nothing there for it to work with. And then they say it doesn't work. I saw the guy the other day. He used rock dust, put it down. See, it's not working. Well, dude, there's nothing there to eat the rock dust. What are you talking about? It's not going to feed itself.
Exactly.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And You just have to do it yourself. That's the best thing way to learn, right? Is just do it yourself. Over years and years, you'll get really good at it. What we say about more more roots in the ground. Well, the more diversified the biology, the greater the variety of the variety, the better. That's because they all specialize in something. They all got it covered together to make an incredible team, right? They have it covered. I was going to say one more thing about communication in trees. So in a forest, you have the same thing. Certain type of trees, other types of plants. If you look down below, you're going to see all these roots coming from all these different things. And you go, you can't spread them apart. They all become one being, one energy, and all what one needs over here, they give it to over there. With communication, the whole 10 yards. And then if you step back a little bit, you're gonna go, wait a minute, that because when I do my shrooms, I get the feeling that if I step back enough, I look at it and see, well, I'm listening to Mother Nature talk to me because I feel this tree over here, I feel that earth over there, I feel it's all one thing coming to one being, and that's just pretty much exactly what it is. It's like that's why they call it Gaia, Mother Nature. It's like one really cool being, and we're like a little microbe on that body. And so we do have one consciousness.
Let's sum this down for the people in the audience a little bit and try to explain to them that you can't really create this type of soil that we're talking about overnight. This is not something that you can just, boom, you got perfect soil and you're never going to get another And so if you don't get the perfect soil and you're still using fertilizers in your garden to reach where you want to go,
you're never going to have perfect soil if you're still using the chemicals.
But you're also not stupid either. Like it takes a very, very long time to get perfect, to get where you want to go. And so I so happily got a rabbit in my garden, and Rupert creates enough poop for me to fill all my raised beds and then some. So just by adding one rabbit, and I'm not eating him, he's not food. He creates one thing, and that's poop. But just by adding him in my garden and putting his poop in my garden beds and stuff,
big difference.
It helped tremendously. And anyone can do that. And it's so cheap to feed a rabbit.
It's a time release fertilizer.
Yeah. Right. Well, there's so many things like you were talking about. Having higher bricks keeps the plants, because you literally having a higher bricks, you're making your plant like a brick, because they don't want to sit there and chew on that. Plus, like you said, if they get that higher brick count, they don't want that stuff will kill them, because that is too much sugar and it will literally smoke them. Like they can't take it.
The sugar is too complex. The molecule is too complex for the bug's body to break down and
use. They need the simple ones.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And so if you're feeding your soil, you're going to get that higher bricks count, right? You can also look into things that will help that, right? Like boron. Boron helps bring that bricks count up, right? Yeah. How many people go and feed boron? Nobody. You ask.
Okay. I'll stop you right there, guys, because boron, some plants like it, some plants it will kill the plant. So make sure if you're going to use boron, you're using it on the plants that need it, not the plants that it'll harm.
Right.
And you guys, I've learned a lot, not just by watching YouTube, but doing a lot of research. Yep. It took me a long time. Like you go on the internet, we're like, okay, I planted this. What does this need? Okay, my tomato plants are turning purple. What does that mean? I did a lot of research. You have to do, it's not something that comes overnight. You can have a perfect garden your first time around, and everything's great, and then the next year bugs decimate it.
Yep.
So it's not everybody can garden. It takes you a minute, and don't give up. Like for me, I suck at growing hydrangeas, and I don't care how many of them I kill. I'm going to continue to plant them and kill them until I get it at the right spot. Dang it.
They like coffee grinds.
Well, thank you for letting me know, because I'm working on my third hydrangea this year. Okay.
They love coffee grinds. They like a very acidic soil, so you have to keep it low.
Like
for the beginning gardener too, I would just start in pots and get your soil ready by using cover crops.
Yep.
Cover crops, go all in on cover crops. You can't go halfway, go all in.
That's right.
That's going to get you. I mean, you're starting brand new. Well, get the soil right first. Use cover crops.
And this next year, I'm going to be using cover crops for the first time. And I'm not going to do something that's overly complicated, because I think by talking to like Simplify Gardening and stuff like that, like I've kind of learned like, I'm not going to plant something that's overly complicated. I'm just going to do some radishes up in there, and I'm going to see how that's going to work out. And I'm not going to like plant something that, that's going to like really make me do a lot of work. And to an average gardener that's just beginning, if they have to do a lot of work, they're really going to kind of give up.
It's going to be discouraging,
especially in the beginning.
So over here in California, when I teach people about raised beds and stuff, I tell them there's a really cool native plant you can buy, you can grow in your garden. And this stuff is absolutely amazing. It's called Kurapia, Kuripa, and it's a native grass. And what happens is that the roots end up growing really, really deep, and you can literally grow your vegetables in amongst the plants because it activates the soil. It brings out, if you look up what minerals Kurapia, it brings up all the splendid minerals out that the plants then take. And the roots are like roots in trees where the microbes, it's a little colony of microbes in the roots. So that's a really cool cover crop, but you can only grow it, in certain, like here, you grow it in California. I doubt it very much you can grow it almost anywhere else. But the trick is to find the local native grass, native plants that grow for you, and those will grow really, really well. And then you'll see that they have the biology to survive in that. And sooner or later, your plants are like they dig in it too. So that's really simple thing to do in the long run.
And it really, guys, it does boil down to, like it says above me, it's all about the biology. You have to consider it doesn't matter what you're growing, how you're growing it. As long as it's growing, there's biology building the cells of the plant.
Yeah.
It has to go right down to that level. And it doesn't matter if it's humans, animals, or plants. It's all based on cell division. And it's the biology that controls the cell division. Healthy plants, you have an army of biology. Unhealthy plants, you have a lack of biology. You have a lack of that biology creating the complex sugars, etc. And that's why there's a lack of health in your soil, and it's all based on that biology. Every plant you plant has biology on the seed and in the seed, that when it cracks that seed and sprouts, that biology is sprayed into the soil structure, because that's the biology the mother plant gave to the seed as the biology necessary as it grows that first week or month, that it really starts to put that biology for that specific plant into the soil structure.
So I got a question for everybody. What do you guys feel about when you're done for the end of the season, clearing off your patch, right? So like if it's a giant pumpkin plant, right? Mm-hmm. Taking that pumpkin plant and clearing it off versus leaving it there and letting it go back to the soil. What do you guys think about that?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I think you should, after everything's totally done, everything's dead, take everything out, because any kind of insects and stuff could hide in there, and then put some kind of leaves, some kind of leaf mold leaves on top of it. Never leave it uncovered. Put something on top. So that's my advice.
I can go next. So what I would do is, as long as those plants are not diseased or have any type of issues, they were healthy plants the whole time, what I would do is I would clip those plants off at the roots, and I would leave the roots in the ground for the worms to be able to feed on over the winter. And then I would take those healthy plants and put them in my compost pile. And like Joe said, I would cover the bed, no matter what you cover it with, whether it be organic matter or some type of covering like a tarp or whatever. As long as you cover it, that way when the spring rolls around, you don't have weeds overrunning your garden and you have all this work to do. Come springtime, all you have to do is take your cover off of your bed, and as long as you have amended it before the fall, like before you covered it, amend it and put it to rest.
For me, I don't really. I'm not a farmer. I'm actually a backyard gardener. So I really got into raised beds more than anything else. And so I would have like eight raised beds. One of them will always go. I call it go fallow. I grow peanuts in there one year. Just fill it up with peanuts. Fill it up all kinds of things. If it wants to grow, I'll put it in there. There are lots of different things you can rotate it to. But you leave it alone. Then you till that compost. Turn it all over. And take your drip system out. Turn it all over. But eventually, what happened was the worm population would increase to such a point you don't really have to do anything. You just clean it up and start growing again because the worms will constantly be recycling everything for you. So it turns out I was really worm farming, feeding them the plants, and the benefit was the vegetables that they give to me. That's very simple. See, so if the worms die, you're doing something wrong, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real good way. The worms are going, stop it, we're coming breeding anymore. I tell people worms are not very good swimmers.
Yeah.
So what I would say for that question would be, if you're leaving it there, like she said about the healthy plants, but Mother Nature doesn't take anything off the soil. It's never uncovered. And as soon as it is, she wants to put, a plant there to cover it. If you're growing the exact same plant, like if you're growing your pumpkins in those same set of patches, you want to return that material, whether you're composting it, whether you're leaving it on the soil for it to break down naturally. You want to return that into that soil structure. You have to consider that is the plant that was growing there. That is the components that plant needs already broken down and used by the biology. So you want to make sure you bring that and those components back into that soil structure. As long as you're not leaving it bare. Now, the tarp idea, there is one problem I found in my research is it can get too hot under the tarp and you can be literally cooking your biology. So I wouldn't recommend an actual tarp. But then in the same instance, you could be doing a lasagna where you're putting down the cardboard and then some mulch, wood chips, whatever on top of that. But as long as you're not leaving the soil bare and you're adding the components back into that soil, then you should be fine.
Chop and drop.
So real quick before Corky answers this, what about, I guess, from what you just said, you want to put that same plant back in there. What about taking the pumpkin, 1,000+ pound pumpkin that come out of there and putting it right back in there too then, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, pumpkins are great for the soil.
That would be considered composting in place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. It depends for me. It depends on several things. I usually I grow lots of things in my garden, and I grow lots of things to help pollinators. So nasturtium is usually my last flower, and usually it's hanging on. So I usually don't pull that up. I leave it, and I'll leave it there all winter long, whatever. But that is usually the very last thing. As far as things like I have peas and stuff like that, I always chop those and leave the roots in the ground. And like most people said up here, if it's diseased, I instantly take it to the burn pile. So I do not leave it in the ground whatsoever. Because I do only have 1,000 square feet for my garden. So it's really not really a whole lot if you think about rotating things.
Right.
So we don't get a chance to rotate that often. So I have to be very careful about what I leave in my beds, and stuff like that, because it can cause disease and there can be things that can happen. And I don't want those in my beds. Right. I do plant in the ground quite a bit, but I do have an issue with, and I think it was from previous people that had lived here. I have issue with a tomato virus in my ground. So I planted lots of heirloom tomatoes over the years, and at the end of the year, not even, they just get crispy and they don't produce as much. So I plant hybrids in the ground and heirlooms in my beds. And I've done wonderful things like with that. But yeah, it, like I said, it just depends on what I got going on and how,
Right.
and you know, that's another thing too. A lot of people say, well, I leave things in there for the bees and the critters for the wintertime and all of this. And I don't do cleanup. You know, you hear that all the time. And yeah, I'm all for that. That's cool. But also I don't want to have like a pack rat in my
Right.
and I've had that because I've got chickens, so I got a pack rat in there somewhere, trying to do something, you know, dig holes and create a mess. So you just got to be wise to it. Got to figure it out what works best for you. But yeah, you just got to definitely be careful of critters because if you leave stuff, they're just gonna have at it.
Oh yeah, I let the chickens go in and clean up everything at the end of the year. You know,
I've gotten rid of chickens for coming in my garden this year.
Now, if they come in right now, they're in trouble. But at the end of the year, let them have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 82 people on the chat. So thank you everyone for being here.
Guys.
Cool.
Make sure everybody shares each other out. You know, become a community. You know, it's awesome when you're a part of a larger community. It keeps on growing, and we go to help each other out. So that's pretty awesome. Serena, we usually do a joke at the end of the live, but I thought this was pretty funny, so I just posted it before. So this is Serena's joke of the live. Why was the garden losing water? Because of all the leaks. Why did the gardener hire a plumber to fix the leaks? So that's Serena's joke of the day.
Thank you, Serena.
So I'm going to play just Common Ground. I want to have people get a drink of water. It's been an hour and 10 minutes right now, just to give a 2-minute break, get something to drink quick, and we can continue this conversation. Because right around now, our mounts usually they drop in the next 10 minutes. So it just gives a couple seconds to get something to drink. And someone should play Common Ground quick. It's a 2-minute skit. And here we go.
What I'm about to tell you is a matter of life and death. If the soil dies, we die.
The facts have been proven. Roundup does cause cancer.
If you burrow deeply enough, there is a pipeline of money from the pesticide industry into those universities. They're getting the kind of science that money can buy.
Nature is the mother of us all. And if mama ain't happy, we're
But there's a way to save our precious soils. It's called regeneration.
Regeneration is not just restoring the land to the state that we found it at, but actually making it better.
We have added over 96 tons of carbon per acre into our soil. Can we mitigate climate change? Absolutely.
We're going to check the underwear in the regenerative versus the conventional soybean field and see if we can tell a difference between the microbial activity.
We've eliminated insecticides, pesticides, herbicides. We are saving upwards of $400 an acre. It works out to be about $2 million a year in savings. That is serious cash.
I forgot my suit. I feel like I'm underdressed. But if you are the people who can make a change, well, it's high time to finally get regenerative agriculture. Let's prioritize the farmer. Out here in the fields, I found my meals.
It's a connection to the land. It's a connection to those that came before us and those that are going to come after us.
Sally, take my hand. We can change everything. There's hope.
I said this letter, it's a warning, but it's also a promise. So I'm going to fight like hell
to save your future, my children. Because I love you.
Let's get together before we get much older.
So if you guys want to watch that, go to Garden State Gardener.
So unbelievable. Jason Momoa does not love me. Okay. And, yeah. Oh, by the way, we tried multiple times to get him on the show. He just won't respond.
Oh, you gotta see the person I messaged today. If that ever happens, oh my God.
I'll call my people and I'll get my people to get with his people. We'll get him on the show.
Okay.
So I have a couple of friends who I'm going to have on, hopefully too. I was a friend with John Haymaker, but there's a couple other people. Don Weaver, he already agreed to be on. He's just real super busy, and I'm trying to get this doctor. So here's a doctor, became a farmer to learn about being a doctor. Now he's back being a doctor, and he understands more about the human body than ever before because he became a really, really good farmer. I think that's really cool. Arden Anderson, you can look him up. He's really cool. So he still talks about gardening and growing things in trace minerals, but now his ability to heal people is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Because he's using that knowledge. It's like we're trees, we're plants, right? We need the trace minerals too. We have the same issues that plants have, is a trace mineral deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All this toxins we get in our body is inhibiting us. The food, you're not getting any trace mineral from the food. As a matter of fact, you're getting inhibitors that inhibits you from absorbing the trace minerals.
That's exactly right.
So, and you guys think, you can answer one by one or whatever, but do you guys think that this is the reason why people have stomach problems, why they have mental problems, why there's like so many issues with people now, health-wise?
Absolutely.
And
it's all toxins.
It's all because we are planting in the soil and there's no nutritional value in the soil whatsoever.
Yep. Right. And the toxins we're surrounded, and we're swimming in toxins. The air we breathe, the water we drink, everything. The reason why it's called toxins is that it kills living things. It kills the biology in our body, the biology in the soil. And what happens when you don't have the right biology? You get the bad biology. I mean, that's right. The way to look at it, right? That's what these diseases are. Just the really bad biology. And that's their job, is to clean up when the good biology is not around. That's their job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't matter. Like, you could eat a ton of vegetables. Like, you could be like, I would say people that are vegetarians now have probably the worst nutritional issues because they may be eating a ton of vegetables or whatever, but are they really getting
nutritionally dense food?
Yeah. Are they getting that in their diet? Probably.
You can only get that if you eat organically grown. Even then, eating organically grown. So I've talked to farmers. Oh, you're organic. Sure. What are you doing? Well, I got good soil. That's it. Okay. They're not going to have the minerals in there. They're not going to have the trace minerals. The brick level. So they hate me when I go to the store and I bring out a refractometer. And I said, okay, look at that. There's nothing here. And you're in the organic section? What are you doing? How could you possibly? That means that they either were chemical and decide we're going to start selling this stuff. I mean, right now the law says if you've been growing chemically for 1,000 years, you only got 3 years, and you can be certified organic. 3 years, you can be a certified organic. Does that make any sense at all? Because you know that thing is not going to have any food in there at all. And then they slide in. They're using all kinds of other chemicals. So integral pest management. Use these different steps, but if you don't do this, you can use these chemicals. Like, okay, right?
Yep.
Right, and that's
that, or it's genetically modified.
Genetically
modified.
So
if you're modifying the genetics of it, then you're disturbing the biology of the plant. If you're genetically modifying it, it's not going to come out the way it should come out. It's not going to provide what it should.
Gardner, if you just mix it with the dragon,
the purple tomato.
Yeah, if you just mix it with that, you can cure cancer. Didn't you know that?
Yeah. Yeah, because now you got a purple tomato, and that's going to solve all your problems.
So
it's a free for all. You cure cancer and everything else.
Here's the thing about genetically modified foods. Here's the thing that's important to understand. So, in my opinion, a corporation who out for money should not own the technology to genetically modify food.
Yeah.
If you have scientists who work for the benefit of human race, they will be able to produce food that can grow in the desert without the chemicals, nutritionally rich, all this other kind of stuff, right? And that's where genetically modified differs from what I think happened. So there was a court case not too long ago, and they threw it out because the lawyer said, everything, you look around, everything's genetically modified. All the food you're buying, you're a very good farmer. You grow a tomato. You like the tomato, you grow that tomato over and over. You're just genetically modify that tomato. Anything on the market now has been genetically modified because farmers have, pollinated together. So that's one form of genetic modification, and it's not right. And unfortunately, there's 3 forms of genetic modification. One of them is we expose it to radiation. And they were going to say, let's make this exposed so it's natural, so it should be certified organic, that we expose food to radiation, and that'll cure all the E. coli and all that stuff. The other way is that you do the gene thing, right? Now you can easily modify a gene to be really good, be healthy. No, what do? I have this chemical and I'm going to put it in the gene, right? And they said, no, there's no way you can get it. Well, there are diseases now that you can get from eating this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's in everything. Unfortunately, what it's doing is threatening the organic heirlooms seed thing, because there's no way you can grow organic heirlooms unless you seal it in from the environment. Look, there's a place in Mexico. They've been growing corn for centuries, right? Centuries. These guys have been growing corn before America was here. Well, Monsanto went down there and sued this one farmer because they found, don't ask me how they found it, genetically modified corn in this place. And they sued that farmer and said, what? Would I want to grow genetically modified food? No, because it traveled through the air and it pollinated those corn. And
that's why I personally is against GMOs for that reason. That is not fair, and that is not right.
No, it's not.
And it really messes up just your average person, that wants to grow food.
We didn't have gluten allergies growing up. You know what I mean? People didn't have gluten allergies when they were younger. How many years back?
Right.
And now all of a sudden everybody's allergic to gluten, and everybody has all these different allergies now, these food allergies.
Wheat is not wheat. Wheat that we've been eating now is not the same wheat we have been eating for tens of thousands of years.
Not the same.
You should see this movie called What's Up with Wheat, because they're using it for pesticide, for paints, for all kinds of other things. And it's not. So that's why in Europe you can buy the ancient grains, stuff like that. But you can't get them here.
Yeah.
The wheat is seriously. I was never much into eating bread, but when I couldn't find the right kind of wheat, I stopped. And I know so many friends that eat wheat bread all the time, something with bread. And their stomach is going out, their brains are getting fried. You combine that with what? So you have hamburgers, and this stuff is not even real. They make it there. I worked one day for Burger King when I was a kid. And it's like you take this gook and you run it through this machine to make these fries. Not even the real stuff. It's like you make, nothing to eat it. I gave it to an animal. He goes, I'm not going to eat that. The dog said, no, I'm not going to eat that.
My stepdaughter spent 6 months in Austria. She has severe IBS issues, other feminine issues. Just there's lots of things going south, for her as far as that's concerned. She spent 6 months in Austria, could eat pasta and breads, all of that stuff, and have not had one single problem.
Well, go look at the back of a bag of flour. There's 12 ingredients on the back of a bag of flour. Why is there 12 ingredients on flour? There shouldn't be 12 ingredients on flour. It should be
why is there wheat in my fruit juice?
Right. Or your toothpaste, or in your paint, or in pesticides, or in herbicides. Right.
Now, also, Corky, you were talking earlier. You'd asked kind of a question. Dave Potter made a really good point of drinking chlorinated water is killing the biology in our stomachs.
Yeah.
So that's one of the problems a lot of people have globally is the chlorine and chloramine. Anytime you've taken antibiotics, that has killed the biology in your stomach. You have to focus on bringing that biology back into your own body. You can do that. Like I make my own worm castings. I have my own worm farm. I know what goes into it. So I actually dry it, put it in gel caps, and I consume that. My wife had severe problems with drinking coffee. She would have
I can't drink coffee.
reactions. She did one pill. I gave her one gel cap full of the worm castings. She hasn't had a problem with coffee in over a year and a half.
I drink mushroom coffee.
Here's the thing about coffee. So coffee is really a medicine. It's meant to be used within 24 to 48 hours of roasting. So whatever you get coffee on the market has been there for a few years. It's no longer a medicine. On top of that, there's a big difference between organically grown coffee and chemically grown coffee. Big difference. It's like 72 different chemicals difference.
That's crazy.
Okay. With beer, it's got 74 different chemicals with beer. Beer, a yellowing agent, anti-foaming agent. You get very little beer. I tell people, just make it at home, you'll be fine. But you have this junk that you're buying, it's not beer. It's not 1% beer. It says in the back, 1% beer. The rest of it is like, we can't.
Are you hiding your beer?
Yeah, right. You know, it's like that's what's going on. And of course, all that does, it fries your brain, but in the process of doing that, it totally atomic bomb blows up your stomach.
Totally. I agree there. My stomach is so messed up, and I can tell, like, if I've had coffee like for weeks, I am a mess. My stomach.
You're not doing organic coffee, are you? Are you organic coffee?
I don't drink I don't drink coffee at all anymore.
I highly encourage you to get everyday dose mushroom coffee and try it for 30 days and see if you don't feel better after 30 days. All right. So after I had COVID in 2020, I quit drinking coffee because after I had COVID, I didn't like my heart rate getting up anymore. Like not going out and working, getting my heart rate up. I didn't want to have it, like an adrenaline dump or, caffeine or whatever, right? I didn't like that anymore. After I had COVID, for some reason, I got really weird about it and started getting like health cautious. Anyhow,
so we thought you were just weird normally, Ryan.
Right. I mean, and I am. But back in March, I was like I started looking at Rise coffee and all these other ones, but I wanted one that had a lower dose of caffeine in it. And so everyday dose had a lower, like 38 grams or whatever of caffeine. And I got that. And literally within 30 days, I started feeling better. Like my energy level went up. My focus went up.
Yeah.
Dare I say my sex drive went up. Like a lot of things went up, right? Like, yeah, right. But
I never drink coffee straight. I drink it maybe 10% coffee. It usually has a whole bunch of adaptogens, all kinds of other mushrooms in it.
Right.
What you really want. You see, the coffee is remember, it's a toxic, it's a medicine. It goes straight to your brain if you do it right. Try roasting it, growing it. You can grow the, you can eat the coffee beans raw. You know that you grow coffee beans, you take that and you make sure you throw away the little seed. That stuff, the gook stuff, is absolutely amazing. It goes right to your brain. And your brain goes, woo, woo, right?
But you really
eating
feel
chocolate
a lot better. Like drinking that stuff, you feel a lot better. Like your stomach health, like your stomach issues you're having. Because like I got IBS from being around the burn pits over in Iraq, right? So like even that has like started to just settle and not be nearly as bad, So like let me see, March, April, May, June. So 4 months now, and I mean I feel really good. Like
you have to keep drinking it. It's not a cure all. You do have to keep drinking it to feel better.
I think you need to keep drinking it. You know what I mean? Because you're putting those mushrooms back. You're putting those mushrooms in there, and the mushrooms is what's making the difference in your body. It's giving you the energy and everything.
You want to refluoride your stomach, try fermented products. Anything fermented, you learn how to do
you're just giving me an excuse to eat more pickles.
Right. So you can do
salty ice cream.
You can do like beets, fermented cabbages, all kinds of different really cool fermentation products on the market now. Yeah, right. And they will, if you do it slowly, will start to reef. And what the other thing that I use is called Suncarella. It's absolutely an amazing product, the blue-green algae. And if you put that in your stomach, it will refluoride your stomach. But what it does is that it cleans you out of toxins. It literally gets rid of the toxins in your stomach. And you have to constantly be doing so. That's why I don't like milk, because it's so toxic, right? You take a little, and even organic milk, because milk has a way of absorbing toxics. So if you have organic cows over here and chemicals over here, guess what, right? They're going to get that. And you don't test They don't test the milk for toxins. They tell you the fish has been in it. We'll try checking the milk.
I don't know which scientist has put this out, but the component of cow's milk and the human body are not matched. It's actually detrimental to the calcium in our bodies. It pulls calcium out of our bones. Bovine milk, the molecule is not right for the human body. That's a problem with milk. That's why I actually very rarely consume milk at all.
I didn't know that, but it's that when you take milk, it's like I always thought, well, babies have milk, but we shouldn't.
From
and then
their
they have
mother.
And then they have it from their
human
mother,
body.
right? It's a big difference
Yeah.
than it can come from a cow.
Well,
You know?
I can say this for milk though. When we stopped drinking cow's milk and started drinking goat's milk, that from our goats, we were a lot better. Like it like everybody felt a lot better. It wasn't as heavy feeling on your stomach. You know, the cheese was a lot better. Everything, like anything that was made from goat's milk was a lot better for us. And I think that's why when people are when babies are lactose intolerant to their mother's milk, that's why they give them babies they give the babies goat's milk and stuff, right? Like if they can't drink mom's milk or they can't drink formula, they'll give them goat's milk, and goat's milk is a lot better. And literally, because my neighbor, he's the one that got me into breeding goats and raising them. He would tell me, this goat's milk will raise the dead. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, dude. You know, like you're just one of these loony hippies, right? You know, and like that's literally what I thought, you know. And then we had some sick animals around here that I found a baby deer, and it was like literally had just been born. We raised it on goat's milk, and that thing has her own babies this year now. Okay. Like we did possums and kittens and baby bunnies and stuff. And I've literally seen these things be on the brink of death. Like you knew they were going to die. You were going to wake up the next morning. They were going to be expired. Gave them goat's milk that night before, right? Just saying, okay, we're going to try anything. And here's this crazy hippie guy across from me going, it'll raise the dead. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then sure enough, we get up the next morning and here's this bunny bouncing around or a baby deer bouncing around my house, you know, and it's like, holy cow, this thing's alive. Like I thought it was going to die. Then you call him like, hey, Alan, guess what? That milk works.
It raised the dead.
Yeah, he's like, he told you it raised the dead. And I'm like, yeah, it did, dude, you know? Like
So I really made a mistake. I should say dairy, but see, I don't count goats as dairy, even though it is, right? Goats is dairy, right?
Right.
So I can tell it's so good for me because I do what's called sleep eating. I would get up and I wake up eating something, and I would go to the store, and the only thing I would buy would be this raw goat's milk. I would end up, so they have empty bottle of raw goat's milk. When I wake up, I go, well, my stomach was really good. The first time I did that, I thought, oh, why am I doing that? But I was attracted to raw goat's milk. You can barely, they disappears like that. I took a little cup of it. The body went,
yep,
right? Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. I would love to have a goat in my yard, you know, because I would like the energy the goat has. The poop, the energy the goat has is really nice.
Right.
A little bit stronger than the rabbit one. You see what I mean? Because he has a bigger. It's all about the stomach. You think about. So one of the things I learned about the stomach is that guess which has there's two creatures in the world, two animals in the world that have the best stomach. And I'm going to tell you it's really interesting. It's the earthworm and the elephant. The smallest and the biggest. They have the same stomach setup that goes through there.
That's cool.
See, that's really, really, really cool. I worked for Barnum and Bailey Ringling Brothers Circus. Only thing I was doing, well, they called me up one day and they said, we have these deer in a herd and they're all getting malformed and we don't know what's going on. I said, well, maybe. And I said, you got it all wrong. You have all these animals, you're throwing them away, and you're spending $75,000 a year to bring fertilizers back with Roundup and all this kind of stuff. So maybe you may want to save some money, turn all this manure into compost, re-put it back again, and you'll find that you won't have these malformations. And I wish I had a way to fly back in time because I would have said, okay, and I'm going to patent the name of it because I gave those guys the name of it away. I gave it away called Sudo. And guess what? Every you go to any big zoo now, they're all selling their own Sudo. So that they shouldn't get paid me commission necessarily. No, they were shipping stuff away. They said the only thing you don't want to use in making compost, there's very rarely, even the tigers and lions and those things, if you know how to make compost, you can really compost it really nice, put it right back in again, at the same time sell it to the public.
For those of you that don't know, there are differences in cows too.
Yeah.
So like you can get a cow and it can have the A1 or A2 milk.
Right.
And like Jersey cows, I think, have a different, each cow has like a different milk. So the only milk that they're mass producing are those the black and white cows.
Yeah.
That's the wrong kind. And that's the wrong kind for us.
And so that could be a huge problem. You know, we're not.
It's because that cow produces the most milk per. It has the biggest bag. It can have the most milk harvested per day, et cetera, and it's just like Cornish cross chickens, right? Like it's just another thing that they created so that we could have mass production. There was a question about the goat's milk though. Being a thicker milk than cow's milk. So like I've never milked a cow personally to know if it's a thicker milk or not. I know that goat milk is thick, you know what I mean? Because I've seen my own goat's milk, so I know what it is, right? But I've never been around a cow to milk it and see if it's thicker or not. But they said something about adding water to the goat's milk. I wouldn't don't add any water to it. Just make sure you clean the teats really, really well. You know, and good warm water with soap and stuff, clean them off really, really well, milk it, you know, take a couple squirts out of the teat first onto the ground. Don't put it in the jar first, you know, make those squirts on the ground, then put it into the jar, take it inside, put it in the refrigerator or whatever you want to do and drink it, you know, because it's good for you that way. You don't have to pasteurize it or any of that stuff. I mean, you don't have to, you can. All right, maybe you should. Maybe you need to follow your local laws or whatever. I don't know. But as for me and my house, that's how we do it. We drink it straight out of the thing.
That's the raw milk law, so you're good.
Right.
I have a question. Do you keep a billy? Because I know when I was a kid, we had goats, and we played a trick on my brother who came to visit it. We just kept pouring goat's milk in the 2-liter milk container. He never knew for 2 months he was there. But with the billy, as I understand it, their hormones create a different flavor into the milk. Have you found that?
No, because I keep my billy goat right there with her. You know what I mean? I'll separate them, but they're not separated. You know, like the only time they're separated is when she goes to kid, you know. Other than that, they're staying. I mean, and when they're separated, they're only separated by a fence, you know. But I do everything that my neighbor taught me to do. And he keeps his billy goats with him, unless the billy is super rough with the does, because if they're rough, they can kill the babies and stuff like that. You know, they'll literally headbutt them in the stomach and kill them. So it's, you know, unless that's happening, I don't, and we've never had any issues with it. David,
flavor,
it's really good. Okay. So like David's been here. He's a huge YouTuber. He's got like 1.3 million followers on YouTube. He actually came here in April, and we went down and milked the goat, and he actually drank the goat's milk fresh, right? And he was like, "Wow, dude, like that's incredible. I've never had raw goat's milk." He was like, "That's awesome." I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "So wait till I cook these eggs with it, you know?" And so we made him up some ramp and mushroom omelet and stuff.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Morel mushrooms with ramp omelet. Oh yeah, it was great.
Mother Nature's beer.
Yeah, there you go. And it's really good. So I highly recommend people, you know, if you can, get a goat, because you know, you're becoming more self-sufficient, right? And being able to produce that for your family. Goats don't eat that much. I mean, you know, 2 goats will go through one big round bale of hay, so like $45. I mean, that's what it costs here. So $45 round bale of hay, which is like 1,100 pounds, you know, it's like 2-3 months worth of hay, you know, and probably like $30 worth of grain in a month, you know. Like, make sure you get good stuff locally produced and everything. You want to, don't go get Rural King bags of stuff and Tractor Supply full of Black Rock garbage. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, it's good stuff, you know. And
I have a friend that he has about 20 goats, and this is what he does. People, the city of Malibu and other people rent him out to run over their land and eat every weed, everything growing. because there's a infestation of mustard seeds, stuff like that. The seeds do not survive. So if you have other animals eat it and they poop it, the seeds will grow, but nothing that comes out of the goat is going to regrow again.
Talking about pasteurization. So with milk, this kind of irritates me a little bit. They produce milk in wide varieties, and then they pasteurize it. They take all the good stuff out of it.
Yep.
Then they put all the artificial crap back into it.
Yeah.
They do it on purpose so it lasts longer on the shelf. That's all. It's all about.
But I don't want their vitamin D. Like, I don't want that in my milk. It was probably already in there, and you just sucked it out, and now you put your
fortified it
crap in there.
Yeah. Well, here's the other part too that we don't understand is that everything that cow has been given, vaccines, all this other stuff, we're getting all that crap too, right? So that's why it's right. So everything that cow eats, everything that it drinks, everything that it's been given its entire life is going to be in that milk supply, which then we're getting, and it's not good. Like if you look at people who raise their own cattle, right, or cows, dairy cows, and have their own milk, like it's just like having your own goats, right? Like that milk is 10 times better for you. It's not fortified. They didn't pasteurize it and then fortify it with all the crap they just took out of it, right? It's definitely a whole lot better for you. It's just like the soil, right? So like when you're feeding your soil, right, everything that goes in the soil ends up going into the plant, which then you eat and goes into you. It's the same thing whenever you're feeding your animals and stuff. You want them to have that same nutrition, that same nutritional value and stuff. So when you intake it, it's going into you too.
So I was reading a really cool article about people who smoke cigarettes. And those people who smoke cigarettes who handle animals, cows, for example, the nicotine ends up in the milk. They test it for it. So now you're going to get that. And on top of that, you have them, what are they called? Forever chemicals.
Yep.
In the milk. The milk has a way, because I don't know, maybe the fat or whatever, it attracts the toxins from the air. Sucks it from the air. They could be walking on anything that was laid Roundup 10 years ago, and they still will get it. So it's really we're very weird that we're feeding something that really absorbs. That's what plastics do. They absorb toxics. They absorb radiation. They found this whale on the coast of California. It was full, instead of blubber, it was full of plastic, and it was radioactive.
Have you seen where they got cow's milk? That's the cows have been fed marijuana. And so then when they milk the cows, like there's THC and like you drink the cow's milk and stuff. Have you seen that yet?
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
I might try the milk.
So I was watching a movie called Ricky Stenicki with John Cena in it or whatever, right? If you ain't watched it, go watch it. It's really funny. So anyhow, in this one part, this little dude was like, they were asking him, like, why did you use Ricky Stenicki? The Ricky Stenicki is a fake character that these guys have used since they were kids. And he's like, why'd you use Ricky Stenicki to go to the marijuana place? He was like, because they had marijuana milk and it was great. And they were like, how much was it? It was expensive, but I don't care, And I'm like, marijuana milk? Like, no, like I hear something, I got to look it up, right? So I'm like, look it up. It's a real thing. Like there's marijuana milk. And I'm like, this is maybe I need to drink some of that, right?
So in California, they have a garlic festival, and they have marijuana infused garlic.
Oh wow!
Yeah. You have to be careful eating that stuff.
I guarantee you,
one of those little things. You're gonna go. I think I have to go lie down. And it was really cool. They make garlic ice cream, so marijuana garlic ice cream, right? It's kind of weird.
Hemp ice cream.
Banana fama. Hemp ice cream. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Serena had a question earlier for me about the carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel is an inflammation. So get rid of the inflammation in your body. You get rid of the carpal tunnel.
How you get rid of trigger finger?
I don't dream about shooting people anymore.
No, seriously though, it's like literally trigger finger. You know what I'm talking about? So like
my mom had that. She actually had to have her finger operated on. They just cut the tendon right here. And
yeah, no, I ain't letting them do that, man. Like I got it really bad. So like my fingers, they'll get stuck, right? And then you'll like sometimes have to pry them apart.
Yeah.
Or like pry them up. Well, what it is the sheath where that tendon is running in, the tendon swells up in one spot and then it gets caught inside the sheath, right? And then it creates a pop or whatever. So like they were like, yeah, we'll operate on it. And I'm like, yeah, no, the VA, y'all ain't cutting on me. Y'all have cut on me before. We ain't cutting on me again, you know? So I'm like, I'll just figure this out on my own. So there are some things that I've tried to take away like the inflammation, like the mushroom coffee, which takes away inflammation, and it's helped. But there are days where it's just for some reason a lot worse, right? So how do you get rid of the inflammation then in your body to where it's like non-existent almost? Not that it's not going to be there, because inflammation is going to be there, but how do you, go ahead.
Have you ever, you know what acupuncture is, right?
Oh yeah, I've had that. I've had acupuncture.
So if you get a really good acupuncturist, she'll take care of it for you. Easy. So most acupuncture don't know what they're doing. Dab, 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 dab. They don't have no pain to do. So I go to this one acupuncturist in their family in Korea for several hundred years in their family. This lady can look at you and she knows exactly what points to touch. What I had 200 needles in my body the other day. Wonderful. Absolutely amazing. And I would do that. So look her. Keep trying till you find the right person, because you'll know, you'll walk away going, that was no good. Or you'll go, wow, holy cow. What happens is next day you lay down for days. You're going to go, oh, how? And when usually has to do with energy flowing through your body, the mechanism that controls energy flow, which has to do not with, believe it or not, it's gold. Go to the hills. Right. So you can actually are maybe deficient in gold, which doesn't transfer.
Well, I've got a safe full of it. I can go in there and eat some of it.
You drink a lot when you were young in the service. You drank a lot of booze, right?
Oh heck yeah.
Okay, well that will cause the pathways to get clogged up, or not necessarily rusted, but you don't have the pathway, the gold threads anymore. You have something else covering it, and that's one reason why chlorophyll washes this stuff away. So I was talking about chlorella, green chlorella. What it is chlorophyll. And it's the closest thing to hemoglobin in your body, closest thing to the blood. You want something that they wash the circuits off, they wash the connections off, clean it off, because the toxins form on these connections. You know, you don't have one solid line. You have these places where they jump, little balls where they jump, right? And that's where the problem lies. And energy backs up, and it causes other problems. And so muscle problems, inflammation, all kinds of things like that. It's definitely from the way the energy travels throughout your body. So you may want to look up it's hard to find, because there are people out there who do not know. They're like zombies. Yeah, punch here, punch here, punch here.
Yeah, I've went to them, man, and because the VA will pay for me to
Nothing
go.
Nothing in the VA is any good.
And man, let me tell you, like that lady, like I kept saying, I said, look, every time you hit me there, you're causing a migraine. Stop punching me there with that stinking needle. And the next thing, oh, but it's curing this. Stab me right back.
And there are other really good things, like this person said, turmeric. Turmeric is absolutely wonderful. You want to know how to take it. So you can take it on a regular basis. It will control inflammation, because one of the things it does is it washes away the toxins.
Turmeric. I like turmeric. I use turmeric a lot in what we cook around here. So can you take it like in a capsule?
Yeah, but the way to really do it is it's called, I wish I knew it. I think it's called milk, turmeric milk. It's made with turmeric.
Star is smiling. My Star is from India, and he told me about turmeric milk.
Yeah, there's a name for it. It's basically turmeric and maybe dates in it, because you want to have and if you take it on a regular basis, you will be surprised at what it does to your inflammation. But it doesn't cure the cause. The cause is you have to eliminate these toxins from your body that are inhibiting your ability to transfer energy around. Like your pineal gland. You have a pineal gland. It's supposed to take energy, put it over there. And if the pineal gland isn't working, everything shuts down. Then the body goes, what do we do with this, George? What do we do with it? And because the toxins keep coming in. The toxins just keep it. They're not going to stop. So you have to really do a super cleansing thing. I really connected with one guy. I don't know if I should tell you his name or not, but he turned me on to some really cool things on eliminating toxins. You know, we talked about biochar. Well, they make biochar that you take in your body.
Yep.
Right. So that starts soaking it in, sucking it in, takes the toxins out. So you have to get into the process of eliminating. So this is Mother Nature telling you, I'm going to make it so pain. Oh, let's see, what can we do this pain for? Oh yeah, inflammation. We're going to do this, and you listen. You go, well, what is our body saying? Golden milk. That's it. Thank you, Jay. Golden milk. I drink it on a regular basis. I do a bunch of weird things on a regular basis. Golden milk happens to be one. Golden milk happens to be one of them. You'll be surprised, man. It will save your life. It really. Look, I'm 75. I started doing this stuff only because the universe sends me information. Oh, wow, golden milk. So I started doing Kundalini, which you don't really want to try unless you're really into it. But these guys do the golden milk. And I started doing it. My inflammation dropped like crazy, even though I was doing all the elimination of toxins, because your muscles have the memory, and they keep doing the same thing over and over again. See, so the turmeric has a way to really clean you out and at the same time make you stronger. Try it a little bit at a time on a regular basis. But I'll tell you what, like I said, Sun Corella, Chorella. It's made here in Torrance. They make it in a vat. Blue-green algae. And
it's actually broken down. The molecules are already split apart.
Cell technology.
Yeah.
Dr. Bernard Jensen went to India and says, how did you guys survive an atomic bomb blowing on you guys? They eat the algae. And then he took that back to his country here, and he makes it. And your body absorbs it. And it's chlorophyll, which cleanses you right out. It puts you into a cleansing regimen where you start eliminating toxins. You have to do a little bit at a time. So I've been doing it about 30 years now. And sometimes I flip out, take 300 of them in one day just to see what happened. I'm like, zoom, we're going to zoom. So I take 55 a day on a regular basis. They tell you to take 15. I gave one to, I told my friend, take one a day. All you want to do. The dude took 5. He had diarrhea for 2 weeks. He said, I don't want that stuff. You're full of toxins. The toxins just come out. It comes out through your skin. It's called a health crisis. So you start eliminating shit. I'm sick. Oh, no, you have to eliminate slowly. And what it really does, what you're doing is to refluoridating your stomach. That's the key to it. Like just like in the soil, bringing the soil back to life. So you got to concentrate on that because that body is telling you something's going on down here that's inhibiting the ability of everything to work right. See what I mean? So you have to be careful. You have to eat organic. You can't go to restaurants, any of that stuff. You can't drink the beer or any of that booze. All of this is stuff that you're getting. It's going to kill you. That's your dog or my stomach. That's my stomach. Right? It must be my stomach. If that's what it is, you're getting so much toxins in your body. Where you live out in the country, right? You have a nice environment, right?
Yep.
Now, onions for radiation. That's why they tell you to take iodine. But you really have to control the toxins. You have to stay away from the city. I can't drive. When I drive to the city, you see this brown thing, and it's like arsenic. All kinds of, and it's like, holy cow.
Suit with his oxygen tank.
The what?
Yeah. You wear your yellow suit with your oxygen tank.
Yeah.
I'm just here to pick up my mail.
That's what you got to do. So that's what's going on with your body with inflammation. You want your body saying enough already. I'm not going to go for this toxins anymore. So you're exposing yourself on a regular basis to something, and you really have to eliminate. So just tell the truth. You still drink beer, right? It's okay, but you should start making your own beer. Yeah,
I don't drink beer.
Oh, good. But you stopped. Yeah. How long ago?
Yeah, I quit drinking.
How long ago was it?
Oh, 2015.
12 hours? Yeah.
You talked about 10 years ago. And for how long?
5 minutes ago.
A long time, right? You was drinking beer for a long time.
I drank a lot.
You haven't begun to get rid of the toxins you accumulated all these years. And it's like layer upon layer upon layer. Nothing's going to flow through there, bro. Nothing's going to flow. The energy gets to there and goes, it can't get to the other side. It tries to find other ways. It thinks back. We're backing up here, Charles. We're backing up, right? And that's what you got to do. You have to eliminate because you stopped. That's good, but you're still getting more toxins coming in. Definitely find a way. That's why wheatgrass juice is so good. Chlorophyll. That's why eating green things is so good. Chlorophyll, right?
Right.
You eat a lot of vegetables, right?
Yep. A lot of vegetables, a lot of greens.
Keep that up. You want to get that chlorophyll. Do you make a juice out of it and drink it?
And I eat it raw a lot of times. Like we'll make spinach wraps or something like that with leaves and stuff, or like take the tops of rutabagas or turnips or radishes and stuff and eat that stuff. Make salads out of it.
Unfortunately, you have to eat like a gorilla tons and tons of this stuff just to get it out of your system. Into your system. That's why the sun chlorella is like little pills, super concentrated. Anything turmeric is super concentrated, right? You know what I mean? One of the other things I find eliminates toxins from your body is a really cool mixture, and it's like honey, lemon juice, and olive oil. Make an equal mixture of each and put it in the refrigerator. Take a little bit every day. So they all combine to make this process that allows your body to lubricate yourself. So the motor works and everything works. That's what's going on. So you don't have the oil flowing through your body to lubricate yourself, and you're getting all these problems because you're supposed to be fluid and the energy will flow through there. You meditate, do you? Right?
No, I mean, I go out to the garden and pray. That's my meditating.
Okay, right. So you have to do anything that allows you to connect to the energy flow. Because one of the ways to clear yourself is to allow energy to flow through you and ground yourself. Because that's what you got to do is ground.
Do you barefoot? Do you garden barefoot? There you go.
Yeah. I'm not going to say how I garden because this is a family show, but
he's invisible. He's invisible.
Right.
That's how he writes his other book.
No,
you're in trouble now.
When I lived in Florida, I would belong to this nudist colony. We always come to my home, and there would be like 100 of them running around naked. You see in the paper, naked people found running around in Homestead. And that was us. But that's what you have to do. That's what you really have to do. Is that you have to say to yourself, I'm being so much toxins that have been coming into my body through all these years. See, you accumulate, and it's super hard. You can't fry those things with a torch, right? The only thing is go with what Mother Nature gives you as a way to cleanse it, and that's chlorophyll, right? The fermented garlic, that's another good. I have black.
I keep fermented garlic and honey, garlic cloves and honey in the refrigerator for like when I'm sick and stuff. As soon as I start feeling sick,
when you're healthy.
Yeah.
Take a tablespoon like maybe once a month or so, and try to get some black garlic. Grow some black garlic.
Okay. I've seen it. I just didn't. I never like. I've seen it online, but some stuff like you get, and then it's not like actually what you got. Like it's black garlic, and you get it, and it's like
I'll tell you one more thing, and I hate to take control of this, but basically, you guys are in Canada. There's a place. There's this guy in Canada selling this product. He's been selling it for years. It's called Willard Water, Wallard. Dr. Willard invented this product called Willard Water, structured water. The main thing about it is trace minerals in assimilated form for your body absorbs. It's called Willard Water. You start taking that because you built your trace, just like with the brick stuff. Raise your trace minerals, right? Raise your trace minerals up as fast as you can and keep them up, and you'll find that they will, your body will start working. It needs the trace minerals, the gold and all these things to make the energy flow.
Yeah.
Right. And you can use honey for that, but you can also make fruit sugars. You can take fruit that you grow and cut it up and make like a paste out of it, and then dehydrate it and turn it into sugar, which you can then use for adding to stuff too to make your own fruit sugars as well.
Yeah. In Florida, I used to do mangoes all the time. So in Florida, you had mangoes, you had lychees, you have all kinds of tropical fruit. When I lived in Costa Rica, people were freaking out. So I was getting their bananas and making dried bananas, getting the watermelons and making the juice from I hardly ate. I was like a fruitarian because the food was so good, right? You know what I mean? So
I made watermelon.
There is Dr. Willard Water. Dr. Willard. See, Willard Water. Hi, Jay. You're the man. You should be on my show. But he spits them out. It's so cool. When you say something, there it is.
He's super fast.
Write that down, guys. You should write it down, too. Dr. Willard.
I got it right here on the phone.
Have any of you guys this year, and I've noticed specifically in my garden, have you noticed the lack of bees?
Bees?
No, because I got a bee farm right by me.
Okay.
Yeah, I have bees too. I have tons of bees. I'm starting a little beehive. They come to me.
2 honeybees.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
That's the toxins that are happening there. When I had my show, I was talking about the bee collapse, and I was going, gee, so here's a bee going out to billions of acres genetically modified corn. What do you think is going to happen to that bee colony? Right? So that's exactly what's going on. It coincides with the genetically modified massive amounts of not just corn. They were doing modified lawns and modified trees. I mean, there's a golf course
to have the perfect lawn.
Yeah, there's a golf course that has modified trees. There's not a single insect. And the lake, they have to constantly refill it with fish because they all die. So it's like, what? They want a sterile environment. That's
There is a man who lives kind of close to me, not really close, but when we drive past his house, we can visually see what he's doing. He completely killed his yard with glyphosate, right? Mm-hmm. And he replanted it, but he also made a pond like in the back of his area. So his yard is graded so all the water runs down into the pond.
Yeah.
Right? It looks beautiful if you like golf courses. And it's gorgeous. And the grass has grown back or whatever.
No fishes.
But right after that, his pond was like neon green.
Yeah.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. Disgusting.
Glowing.
Yeah. I was just like, that is foul. I'm like, I can't believe like you. And then he has like all this gravel and stuff around his pond, and these huge rocks, and it looks beautiful, but your pond is so toxic. Like I wouldn't want a bird's like drinking it.
Yeah. So I got a question though, real quick. So like, which one of these waters are you supposed to get? The XXX dark, or the with the 32, or the vitamin 8?
The dark.
The dark. Okay.
So the reason they have the other one is it's a clear version because people were putting it on their skin and they would get dark from it, right?
Okay.
So the dark is the one you drink.
Okay.
That's the one that with all the minerals in it. That's which one you want.
All
one
right.
tablespoon. What you do in the morning, it depends, because in the morning I have a different routine. So one day I take a glass of distilled water, which I have a triple distillation system, 1 tablespoon of the Willard water. The next day I would take a glass of apple cider vinegar, right? And with a tablespoon of distilled water, a tablespoon of the apple cider vinegar in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that makes it. And then the other day I would do my olive oil, and then without this thing, I just take the olive oil. Sometimes the other day I took 3 of them. I was supposed to take one. Oh no, my God! You know. And the Willard, if you read up what the Willard water does, it's absolutely amazing what it'll do to your body. Control diabetes. It basically what it does is it helps you reflux because it's an acidic version, which helps your body to be acidic rather than super alkaline.
Okay.
Yeah, you start doing it gradually increasing, like you're doing a garden or anything you're learning, because your body may go, "What the heck? WTF? What is this?" Right?
Right.
You don't want it to do. I would literally do a drop in a glass of water just to see if anything happens. If you start farting, I go, "Well, I guess it's not the right thing," right? You know what I mean? Right? So do a drop and see what happens, and work your way up to a tablespoon. That's about what you want to do.
Always start slow, whether you're adding stuff into your garden or your own body. Always start slow, because if you overdo it, you put things out of balance, and that's going to cause even more problems.
I never heard of bees being allergic to honey. I've never heard of bees being allergic to honey. And if they are, they got something.
They get beehives, man. They get hives, beehives.
He's crazy, isn't he? He's absolutely crazy. But listen, guys, I have an appointment I got to go to. I really want to come here as often as possible. So invite me over and over and over and over and over.
We'd love to have you on.
And I want to know more about what you're all doing, what's going on, because I've been doing this for a long, long time, and it was only about maybe 5 years ago that I met Leighton, and I said, "Where have you been? And then he turned me on to this whole world of other people that have been doing the same thing. And I don't know how long you guys have been doing it, but I've been doing this by myself for a long time. I'm like the guy in the corner. The world is ending. Now I got a different sign. Never mind, is over with, right? So I feel that the more roots on the ground, in other words, with us, the more people involved with this, more people with a consciousness that say, enough. Yeah. We have to stop this. We have to stop killing. It's not the earth we're killing ourselves.
Yeah,
it's true.
Right? The earth is going to be here. The ants are going to walk around. Do you remember those things? What were they called? They used to walk around. I don't remember, right?
So, I sure miss those Doritos, though.
Doritos. And it's not. Look, and it's not. It's
I still want the original chicken nuggets.
Look, it's a real lucky chance that we have a life here on this planet. You can't expect the life to come back the same way as we have before. Mother Nature may say, well, let's try this for a change, right? There you go. That's what you want. Oh, you get an Amazon. That's great. That's great. But try that, and you'll be surprised. Do that. So what I do is I do Dr. Willard, the Corella. I do all these different things. You really have to do. You have to have a blend of different things coming into your body. You don't want it. I got bored with just lettuce, right? So I have all kinds of other vegetables. I can't wait. Right now, my garden's just started. And my friend, she was here. She says, why aren't you eating things? Well, there's nothing there. There's nothing in the biology. No matter how good the seeds are, I put them in there because I just want to get things growing in the ground. Get going, guys. Start growing. And then, I'm at this phase 2. I'm pulling everything up, converting it back into soil, and there's more root, more biology there. I'm slowly and surely been increasing. I've only been gardening this place since February, March, April, May, June. So you can't expect the biology to come back in 5 months, right? You can't, no matter what you do. Unless you have a cow constantly pooping there. Even then, you have to rotate them around somehow, right? Right. So I really like this. You can see I'm absolutely crazy, and I enjoy all this. Visit my website, take a look at my book, all that good stuff. And I write this really cool music. If you go to my website, you'll see it say SoundCloud. Go up to SoundCloud. But I'm also on YouTube, Spotify, all these different things. And it's called Inner Garden Music. You listen to it, and that's one of the things. That's one of my book called Don't Panic, It's Organic. And so you start listening to the vibrations start coming into your body. Your body absorbs energy. You're an energy being. The biggest organ in the body is your skin. And guess what? You hear these sounds through your skin, your organ. Each organ has a frequency. In other words, they listen to that specific frequency.
That's
so
true.
when you start going bong, and some part of your body goes bong. It's, if you get two tuning forks, you go bong. The other one starts doing it too, right? And that's exactly what happens. And that's what you want to do. You want to start vibrating. You go ho 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 ho, and the energy just can't. There's 108 different energy centers in your body, not just the 8. There's 108. And they all have energy paths that they flow. And so one reason why I asked about meditation is because you visualize it. The energy is going to flow. And you can start making it flow, but you do have to clean the network, right? The structure that it flows through. Right? That makes sense. No matter how much you meditate, you got to still have a clean body. That's why I like this. Healthy soil, healthy planet, healthy you, healthy planet. Healthy, right? Healthy plants, healthy you, healthy planet. And that's what it's about. No matter what kind of meditation you do, if you're absorbing all these toxins, you can never, ever, reach samadhi, let alone live a long, happy life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. So that's what it's all about. We have to stop the toxins, which is kind of difficult, right? Because like talking to a junkie, hey, maybe you should stop shooting up with cocaine, right? To give them something else to do. So these humans are really weird. They don't care what they do. Give them something else to do and make them satisfy them on that level, right? That's free. The problem is money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Problem is money. It's not religion. Religion is set up for money. It's one of the best ways to make money. Start a church, right? Right? Agriculture is about money, not about growing food. Medicine is not about money. It's not about being healthy. It's about money.
Yeah.
And that's the
There's
problem.
nothing wrong.
That's the problem. I love Star Trek because they threw money out the window. They said, we don't need money anymore. And that's the direction we got to go to. Otherwise, we're in deep trouble. The planet's going to kick us out of here, and they're not going to let us back in again, right? Not going to let us back in again. So that's what it's all about. I would love to come back again. Let's do this more often because you're going to find more and more people are going to come to this kind of energy here. They're going to love this stuff. They're going to go, oh, my God, to take it back. I love to turn children onto this thing. So they go, Mom, why are you eating that? Turn the parent in. Hey, that's crap. You can't eat that stuff. I have some kids who are eating this stuff. It's yellow, orange, green, and blue. There's no food in it. And no wonder the kid was sick for 2 days with 101-degree temperature. Dude, you ate 4 packets of this stuff. What is this? You bought it to TikTok, and it comes from India, China. It came from China. And it's like, I swear it's probably radioactive, right? I know, it's really bad. So namaste, everybody. I got to go.
See you, Andy. We'll see you next Wednesday on our show, Andy.
Yeah, that's right. And also Monday with Leighton.
Not this Monday, next Monday on the Soil Matters with Leighton.
Take care now, everybody.
And everybody in the chat, thank you everybody in the chat for coming today.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
We're going to definitely do this again.
This was a wild chat tonight. It was very wild.
You guys
I
are
really
absolutely
appreciate you guys
beautiful.
coming on.
Good
and,
energy,
like,
good energy, and all the good stuff here. You know, we should dance
giving us
together.
your honest opinions about things. That's what we need. And
Push
so,
the button, like, comment, send us lots and lots of money. We all need $100 million.
We're all poor.
$100 million within 30 days. Right? Because I know what I would do with that. Just give it away. Be gone in a day. Hey, brother, here's $1 million. Hey, brother, here's another $1 million. Hey, here's another $1 million. Yeah.
Send your love donations to Baby Bill.
Love donations to us, right? Are we still on?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Let's take care. You guys stay on for a second.
Are we still on?
Everybody have a good night. Take care.
Good night, y'all.